First, let's see some general things. Your clever speed is 102, and this line is elite men's average, including professional college players and some teaching professionals. And you are under the average. The average is about 110, 111, and yours is lower. When the speed is normalized to your body height, then it's better. So for your height, you're generating slightly under the man's average. But the bottom line is you need to increase the absolute speed. Okay? So and the overall swing time is less than 1,000 milliseconds. It's probably 950 milliseconds, which is a bit faster than man's average. That means your backswing is a bit faster than typical, which is good. But I want you to shorten overall swing time to 900 or slightly less than 900. That means you have to speed up the backswing a bit more. Okay. And then, okay, and this is the top view. This large rectangle is your swing plane, and your swing plane is fairly aligned toward the target here. And then this smaller rectangle is your hand motion plane, okay, formed by your hand motion, which is slightly inward. So on the average, let's say the swing plane is 1.9 degrees outward, and then the hand motion plane is 1.9 degrees inward. So you have about 4-degree difference between the two planes. But one thing here is the standard deviation of the angles here, the directions here. This standard deviation is a bit bigger than typical. Usually you have to keep this below 1 degree. So when you have a bit relatively large standard deviation, that means from swing to swing, the direction changes. Okay? So you need to have more consistent direction of the swing plane and hand motion plane. Both are currently over 1 degree here.
What does it mean? Is dropping under plane too much, or what's the change?
The way he's swinging is he's putting a lot of effort at the impact instead of developing speed early enough and then just simply throw the club using the speed. But he keeps swinging, putting effort through the impact. So that changes the motion of the club near the impact. So that's probably why. And this is the swing plane here. So this straight line is your swing plane. The slope on the average is 45 degrees. For your height, this is your height is about 172. So for your height, this is the slope is reasonable. Okay, and the hand motion plane is a 57-degree slope here, so about 12-degree difference. And this is a bit more than typical. But generally, as you can see, your backswing is not large enough. Okay, this is the swing plane here. And then when you start the backswing, your club head is going above the swing plane. So in other words, using the wrist, you're lifting the club head. The club head goes here, and then your backswing stops about here. But try to have a bit bigger backswing. So the club can act for the driver. This is the driver condition, but the club can go either horizontal position or even more. But what happens is you're stopping this about here, and your body is quite rigid at this point, and you try to just turn everything together here, instead of forming a rigid body here. Imagine you have springs everywhere here. So toward the end of the backswing, these springs are extended. Then on the way down, you can use the springs, right? Instead of maintaining a rigid body here, rigid structure, but you have some sort of elastic components in the body so that you can really take advantage of the elastic components. So when you stop here, then your body becomes just rigid. And then all you can do is on the way down, try to turn everything together here. But when you have these springs acting here, let it go and then extend the spring, and then the spring will start shortening, right? With that, you can start the downswing. So you have extra booster using the springs. So it's better to make the backswing a bit bigger. Let the club go a bit more. But still, you have to maintain fast motion, but let the club go a bit more instead of stopping about here. Okay? So this is short backswing here. And then you are assuming slight layoff posture here at the top. So intentionally try to drop this, but no need to do that. Shallowing can happen automatically in the downswing when you use your body initially instead of intentionally try to drop the club head down. So a better way to move the club is initially moving along the swing plane in the backswing, along the swing plane, and then go above and then make a looping motion and then naturally coming down instead of from the beginning bring this high and then try to drop it behind here. Usually when you are going to this posture here, what happens on the way down, this comes down early and you will have a stuck elbow posture. It's because you intentionally try to drop this. But instead, let it go. Just all you do at the beginning of backswing is let it go, and using the momentum, you have enough motion of the club. Slow this down, and just simply change the direction. And then on the way down, if you use the body well, then automatically this shallows. So no need to intentionally drop the club head, and then bring that behind your body here. So from this posture on the way down, let's see here. When you're going down this way here, the right elbow is still here, back here, coming this way here. So when the club becomes parallel to the ground about here, if you draw a straight line, vertical line from the right shoulder here, down here, your elbow is way inside. That means you're in stuck elbow position. Instead, here, your hand has to go more forward here. If the hands move a bit more forward here, then the elbow will be brought this way here. So the elbow will stay on this vertical line here. The way I look at this is that if the elbow is inside this vertical line, then it is a stuck elbow position. It's because you want to intentionally drop this and then coming down here. So the elbow is stuck here. Okay? So bring the hands and elbow in front of your body on the way down instead of dropping here. Yeah. Instead of dropping and then your pelvis turning this way, rather try to bring this in front of your body. So generate enough speed on the way down here using this and then let it go. You have to release this instead of keep pulling this and the turning body together. Then you cannot really fully use the mobility allowed in the shoulder joints. Because you can throw and then you can use the arms actively here. But if you're pulling and the turning together here, then these are not well utilized here because you keep dragging here all the way. So instead of intentionally dropping the club head, just throw and then just have a change of direction. This way and then reverse the direction and then let it go. In that process, your elbow and hands come in front of your body instead of here. Okay.
How do you have that change of direction? I mean, what do you think about to?
Just to throw actively this way here and then turning back here.
Like a release
Don't-
on the way down?
Don't worry about this motion. So the swing plane is here. So you have on-plane motion and the off-plane motion here. Don't worry about the off-plane motion. So just focus on on-plane motion. So throw actively here and then slow down and then reverse the direction. In that process, because of the anatomical structure here, your arms have to go high up toward the end of the backswing. So automatically you're bringing this higher. And also, On the way down, this naturally drops and then everything comes down. So no need to intentionally drop the club head. So when you have layoff, then typically what you will face is the stuck elbow problem. Okay. When you have a stuck elbow issue here, then that means the arm motion is obstructed by the body. So then you have to get away from that, right? So usually what you do is you either slide the body toward the target or moving the pelvis backward quite a bit and then spinning. So in your case, instead of sliding the pelvis toward the target, you're moving it backward and then just spinning around. So
That's kind of consistent with what Jared was saying.
and also when that happens, you will see in this one here. This shows the center body center of mass motion. This is the center of mass of the pelvis. But here, so initially at the beginning of the backswing, so center of mass is here. Okay, and then it's moving away. So this is toward the target. This is away from the target here. And then your center of mass moves away from the target, which is okay. And then going up to this point is perfectly normal. And then the center of mass drops quite a bit here. Up to this point, this is okay. But from here, the center of mass has to move up, diagonally up here. So then your end position at impact should be somewhere right here. But it's way below the initial position. That means toward the impact and through the impact, your whole body center of mass is going down, collapsing, because you're just spinning around. Instead, you should be able to use the lead leg well and then push the ground and bring the body up again. So this is the pelvis center of mass here. Initially, it's moving again away, coming down, and then from here, it has to keep going up here and end up somewhere here at impact. But your pelvis center of mass stays here, because toward the impact and through the impact, your body keeps collapsing. That means the pelvis is moving backward quite a bit. So this means you are lacking the lead leg action in the downswing. And also, this is the pelvis motion. The upper one is the translation of the pelvis. And this is rotation of the pelvis here. The red line shows rotation. Okay, so you're rotating slight over the man's average here in the backswing direction, but at impact you are rotating a lot more than man's average here. So at impact your body is open more than typical. It's because you're spinning. Okay? So this is somewhat excessive. You need to have good balance between this side and this side here. Event 10 is impact here. So this value here and then this value here should be reasonably balanced, as you can see the man's average here. But you have more rotation at impact toward the target. That means you're turning your body quite a bit through the impact. And then this is the translation of the pelvic center of mass. So the green line is a toward and away motion. Your pelvis center of mass is moving away from the target initially and then going toward the target. But at impact, you're just returning to the initial position here, pretty much. This has to go a lot more. You see, if you look at the data range, positive side is 15. You have to go all the way here. That means you have to have a good shift to the target. So in the downswing, as you swing here, and you have to shift the body well toward the target and then stand on the lead side instead of coming here, dragging this and then just spinning. So in order to spin like this, the elbow has to be here. But in order to use the lead leg, you go here, moving this down and then throw and then push the ground and just stand up here. Instead of And then if you look at your left foot is turning like this in the downswing. It's because you're spinning quite a bit and then dragging the club instead of letting it go, throw. Throw and stand on the lead leg like this. Then the center of mass will be up more and go above the initial position. Okay? So, and then, so this one, you're going away a bit more than usual here. But then the pelvic center of mass is not moving toward the target that much. So pretty much staying at the initial position here, and now you're just spinning around here. You see how much your right knee is coming in to spin around. Another one is this blue line here. This shows up and down motion of the pelvis. It's coming down, and then from here it has to go up and then above the initial position here, but it stays down here because you're spinning. So what you probably need to work on is in the downswing, you have to learn how to shift the body toward the target and then put the weight on the leader foot, and then by using the leader foot, push the ground. Good here. So that's what you have to work on. And then this red line is forward backward motion of the pelvis. As you can see, the pelvis goes backward. This is forward motion, backward motion, forward, but your pelvis is moving backward quite a bit. In order to spin from here, in order to spin, you have to move the pelvis back and then turning like this. And then your foot will rotate like this. So instead of throw and stand on the lead foot here, you are turning this way, around. And then X factor, this is the separation between the hip line and shoulder line here. So this is hip line and this is shoulder line. It shows the X shape here. So the angle between these is called X factor. And the X factor keeps increasing all the way to a top of action. This pattern is okay. This pattern is okay here. But if we look at this on the swing plane here, your club stops about here. The club can go more this way here. Okay. So from this position, what happens is you don't have enough wrist cock here. On the way down, what you choose is turn the body and then pull this. Drop this and then keep dragging this all the way and then let it go. So this is called late shoulder acceleration pattern, but you try to put a lot of effort in near the impact. Then what happens is in the follow-through, you have large follow-through motion. So for example here, from here, you go through the follow-through, you see the elbow position here. You keep dragging the club here. So at impact, still your elbows are flexed like this. You cannot extend it because you cannot throw this. And then from there, if you keep turning on the swing plane here, your hands are way up here when the club is aligned vertically. So this is exaggerated follow-through motion. It's because you try to put a lot of effort through the impact. Instead, you have to put a lot of impact on the way down here, develop enough speed, and then let it go. So we'll practice that a little bit after this, okay, how to release the club. But eventually, when you have the image of putting a lot of effort near the impact, then you keep dragging the club, and actually it hinders the speed generation. So that's what I see here. And then kinematic sequence. The most important sequence in the swing is the transition sequence. Your transition sequence is okay up to this point. But then what you do after this is the problem. So here we have a pelvis, thorax, shoulders, and then the arms, and then club here. So we have a sequential transition here. Okay? But in the downswing, the red line is the pelvis angular velocity, but the peak occurs about here. This is way late. The peak angular velocity of the pelvis occurs about here. When the club is aligned vertically, then your pelvis angular velocity should be maximum, and then it should show a good decrease. The reason why the pelvis angular velocity decreases is because when you use the lead leg actively, you are activating the hip muscle here, then this will hold the pelvis. So the pelvis loses angular velocity quite a bit. So when this is late and then the pelvis does not lose the angular velocity that much, that means you have a weak lead leg. You're not using the lead leg that much. So this is delayed. And then thorax here, the shoulder reaches the peak angular velocity about here, right before the impact. Everything is delayed. It's because in your image, you're putting a lot of effort near the impact. But rather, in order to be able to release, you have to generate good speed here, and then using this, let it go instead of keep dragging. Okay? Because your body has to slow down enough and then give a lot of momentum to the club so the club can move fast. Like when your dad works hard and save a lot of money, then when you start your own business, okay, he can help you quite a bit. But if he doesn't have that much money saved, he can't. So on the way, early on, the first half of the downswing, the main goal is to rotate the body fast. So when the body has a lot of momentum, then in the second half, the body loses momentum. Actually, the momentum is transferred to the club. So the club keeps moving faster here. The body has to slow down. When you have good interaction between the arms and the club, then the body slows down quite a bit, and then the club further speeds up. So here, this is average wrist angular, wrist angular velocity. But this pink line is the wrist angular velocity. Your wrist angular velocity is way below man's average. So the club angular velocity is also way below the man's average because you're not giving the momentum from the body to the club, but your body keeps rotating. So through the impact, your body has a lot of momentum. It's not giving up momentum. So if we look at the angular momentum here, this green line is the body angular momentum, and then blue is the club angular momentum. So when body reaches peak angular momentum here, and then the body has to lose a lot of angular momentum, then the club has to gain a lot of angular momentum here. But at impact, these are not showing that much difference here. But this is because first, you don't have enough wrist cock here. When you don't have enough wrist cock here, on the way down, you don't have much room for uncocking. So a big portion of this momentum transfer from the body to the club is wrist motion here. But by having enough wrist cocking here, and then maintaining the leg, and then let it go, in this motion, the body loses momentum, and the club gains a lot of momentum. But because you don't have enough wrist cock to start with, then there's not much room for uncocking motion. That's why you cannot transfer the momentum from the body to the club. So that's why I said earlier, you need to make the backswing bigger so that you can use the wrist more. Okay? But it doesn't mean really wrist dominant motion, but still using the body, but you have to let it go through. So
how does he make that longer? I mean, it looks like his shoulders turn a lot. I don't know if there's some physical limitation or...
So he has to feel the idea of really throwing the club instead of turning the whole thing together.
I'm talking about here in the backswing.
The backswing, just speed up the backswing. Let the club go. Instead of just try to bring it up here, let it go. Then using the momentum, you can actually move it further. So instead of in the backswing, try to just reach certain position here, let it go. When you give enough speed, automatically it goes further away.
Okay? Oh, that's why you want it faster going back.
Faster, and you have to let it go all the way here, and then throw here. Instead of go about here, then your body is rigid here, then all you do is just drag it together. Instead, spring and then spring. Use the spring, and then spring. You have to let this go both ways. So generally, what you do in the backswing determines what you do in the downswing. So if you limit this club motion, then on the way down you also limit it because it's more dragging pattern. If you use wrist too early in the backswing, then you also tend to use that wrist too early. Arm-driven backswing, arm-driven downswing. So usually what happens in the backswing determines your downswing. But so in this one, definitely you are not using your wrist enough here. Wrist complex has a lot of range of motion. Wrist motion here, plus this motion. This is a forearm pronation, supination here. This gives a lot of range of motion here. If you don't use this range of motion, the body has to turn more. That's why you have excessive body rotation. Okay? So if you look at the contribution of the these joints to the caliber speed, wrist is an important component. But if you don't use the wrist that much here, so your peak wrist angular velocity is only this much here. It's hard to increase the club angular velocity. When you use the wrist more, so this goes up, then this will go up here. So you need to learn how to activate the wrist more. And sometimes what happens if at the junior stage, if you use a heavy club, then you tend to drag it. Because if the club is heavy, you cannot really release it that well. So you tend to drag it. Okay? So it's important to be able to use the wrist a bit more here. So we'll practice that with the one arm swing. Okay. Throw. And for that, particularly this motion is really important. Instead of keep dragging here, you should be able to throw and then turn this way. Go up and go down and then throw and then turn this way. Instead of keep dragging. And then let's see how you use the ground. There are three graphs here. The middle one is the ground direction force, the force coming from the ground to your foot. So this arrow is the force acting on the trail foot. This arrow is the force acting on the leader foot. The middle one is a combined force here. Now, at the beginning of the backswing, you have more force acting on the leader foot. This is good. So with this, you can start the backswing actively. And then soon, this will cross. And then this is when the club is horizontal here. Slide after that, you will have a maximum push from the trail side here. Up to this point, this is perfect. Up to this point. However, after this, you have to maintain this difference. In other words, throughout the entire backswing, you have to have more force acting on the trail side after this. Okay? But you start losing the difference. And by the time you reach here, these two forces are equal to each other. When the two forces are equal to each other, then the center pressure, where the combined force is acting, this will be right at the middle of the stance here. But at this stage, still, this point should be here. The force should act this way here. But it's going to the center. The force is fairly upright. Okay? You see, at this point here, you have good push from the trail side. However, you are losing this weight distribution here. So what happens is now the two forces become equal to each other. Instead, you still have to have more force acting on the trail side and then develop good inclination of the force arrow. So by the time here, at top of action here, you have more force acting on the leader side. This is what you need to change. So usually what happens in the body comes from the way you interact with the ground. But at this point, at the top of backswing, you still should have a lot more force acting on the trail side here. So the center pressure stays close to the trail side, and then it should give good inclination here. Now,
Show me where he's losing it. Like,
so you have to maintain this difference about this much here all the way here toward the.
So you're not supposed to move toward the target.
It's too early. You're moving too early. You're actually not moving that much, but you are just reducing the force difference between them. Instead, you have to have a good support from the trail side here, as if you're going like this. So this side should be unloaded well. This side should be fully loaded, almost like this. So imagine you're taking a step. Go here, and then taking a step, and then hit the ball here. While the foot is off the ground, then 100% of force is acting on this side, right? Then you'll be able to keep a lot of force on the trail side. So have the image of slightly lifting the foot here, and then taking a small step. That way you can maintain good amount of force on this side. But if you sort of move this way here, you cannot lift this. When you have a large force acting on the lead side, you cannot lift. Only when you have a fully loaded on this side here, so you don't have that much force acting on the lead side, then you can lift and then take a small step. So always practice this small step. That way, you'll be able to maintain the force on the trail side well. So let's not forget it. We can practice that today a little bit. So here it's important to maintain the force, more force on the trail side throughout the entire backswing here. But in your case, the force is already upright. Now, the lower graph shows the so-called moment arm or lever arm, which is essentially the separation between the center of mass, the red dot here, and then this arrow here. If you extend this arrow, then the gap between the center of mass and this line, that's called the moment arm or lever arm. Imagine you're using a wrench, okay, holding it here, and then try to turn things around. Then this distance is moment arm here. So where this is, say you have a flat tire on the road, and you need to change the tire, so you use a wrench, right? Holding it here and then try to pull. So this distance here, this is the moment arm, which is, so this is the center of the wrench, center of rotation of the wrench, and this is where your hand is generating force here. That separation is a moment arm, lever arm. And then you need to keep this long, because the force times the moment arm is the torque. The upper graph shows the torque that you generate in the frontal plane. Torque is the cause of a rotational motion. So in order to rotate faster, then you need to generate a good amount of torque. That means you have to maintain long moment arm here, right? And then, so at the 5, which is end of pelvis rotation. So here the pelvis rotation is completed, and then from there you have a rapid increase in the moment arm, and then it also quickly comes down here. So you have a sharp peak here, because you also have a sharp peak in the torque here, in the upper graph here. But you need to generate the longer momentum early and then maintain the torque throughout the downswing, early part of the downswing here. But this is too sharp and then coming down quickly here. This is because you are moving the center pressure too early to the lead foot. And then, this is the maximum ground reaction force here, okay, which is close to elite man's average, but this is actually delayed, too late. So in the downswing, because you tend to drag and then just spin quite a bit, everything is delayed. The peak angular velocity of the pelvis and thorax, these are delayed, and then your peak force is also delayed here. Actually, the peak force should occur about here, earlier, but your peak force is happening here. And then at the impact here, you will see, if you look at your body posture, keep dragging here, that your arm is in this position here. So this is chicken wing posture. It's because you're dragging the club instead of letting it go. So if you let it go, then this left arm is well extended at impact. Right elbow is still flexed here, but impact, and the right after that, you have a fairly well extended arm positions here. Then it keeps going, and then the right arm is well extended here. Left elbow shows a flexion here, but going this way here. So swing through and then throw here instead of. And with this later, when you try to extend your arm, you have exaggerated the follow through motion. So your hands go high in the follow through. See, later you try to extend the arm here. So in the frontal view, it may looks okay, but actually on the swing plane view here, you will see that your hands are going way higher than your head here. So you should be able to maintain more force on the trail side here. So this point should be here, and then the force should show good inclination here. Okay. Then in the downswing, you can quickly load onto the leader side. So when you have, this is called the stepping like action here. When you have stepping like action, taking turns here, good push, 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 and then swing through here. So it's like a stepping like a rhythm. Okay? So as long as you take steps, and then as you swing continuously, if you can take small steps, that means that you have better timing of pushing the ground using these feet, one by one. Okay, so later we'll practice stage 2 of the 2-step swing drills, but you need to particularly work on that drill. And then once you have that stepping like action, everything will be organized a lot better. So, and then the rhythm is basically dictated by the leg actions, and then with that you can let the club go more. You don't have to worry about stopping here and then try to use the whole body and drag. Rather, kick and throw, step and throw, step and throw, step and throw. Okay. Then let's see what am I missing here. I have more pages here, but these require a bit of education, so it's hard to explain to golfers. So these are usually for the instructors who went through my training. So, so in general, what I see here is you need to have a bit larger backswing using the momentum of the backswing, and then from there, so you have enough wrist cock so that you can use the wrist more in the downswing, and then you have to activate the lead leg well. For that, you have to develop the stepping like rhythm, so that you can use the lead leg more actively. Then you will be able to, in the backswing, you will be able to maintain the center pressure close to the trail foot, and in the downswing, you have a lot more active motion from the lead side early. Okay, so this is delayed. Any questions? Anything that your coach constantly talk about?
Same stuff. Yeah. I mean, it just reinforces that his coach knows what he's talking about, because we just went a week ago and it was the same. Too much rotation, not enough vertical.
Yeah, you should have the feel of standing on your lead leg at the end of the downswing. Stand on the lead leg and finish instead of turning here. So what happens is when you spin, then toward the impact here, the force will quickly passes close to the center of mass here, and so you are losing the momentum quickly here. And then toward the impact, you will see that the center of pressure starts moving toward the center. And then at impact, pretty much the two forces are similar to each other. But at this point, you should have a lot larger force acting on the lead foot here. So to give you a better idea, let me show you another pattern here, which will inspire you. This is Grant Waite, former PGA Tour player. Here, center of mass motion here. You see? Just move away and go up and then diagonally down and up here. So it goes below the initial position, but then at impact, tennis impact, it goes above the initial position here. This is pelvis, goes down and then go up here. The pelvis center of mass is here at impact. And then pelvis motion, this is well reasonably balanced here. And then it's going down and then up, so that at impact, it stays above the initial position here. And also you will see that this is away motion. And the coming back to the initial position is called the recentering. Then after that, he has a lot more shift of the pelvic center of mass toward the target. Okay? So you are missing this piece here. And then kinematic sequence. Kinematic sequence here. So he has really good sequential transition here, well spaced. And more importantly, if you look at his wrist motion, wrist angular velocity goes above elite man's average, and that this goes above elite man's average here. So his cleaver speed is over elite man's average, but he's using his wrist well here. And then if the way he is using the ground here, he's generating long momentum at the top of action already here. You see his force pattern here. The center pressure is staying close to the lead foot, and then the force inclines quite a bit here. With that, he has long momentum here, this long momentum. And then he has a good amount of torque generated at the beginning of the downswing. He is pretty much maintaining it here instead of going quickly up and then coming down. Okay? And then his maximum force occurs here, around here, when the club is aligned vertically here. And then at impact, you see how much force difference he has between the lead leg and the trail leg here. So still the force is mostly acting on the lead leg at impact. But in your case, the two forces are similar to each other, so the center pressure is pretty much in the middle of your stance. You need to have a good amount of force acting on the lead foot at impact. And then so we're here. When the club becomes vertical on the swing plane here, his hands are lower than the left shoulder. But in your case, the hands are a lot higher. You have exaggerated follow-through motion. It's because you're putting a lot of effort through the impact. But rather, put the effort early on in the downswing, and then you are reaching peak angular velocities here. You see the pelvis, the thorax, and the arms. These are pretty much reaching peak angular velocities about here early, and then from that point on, the pelvis loses a lot of angular momentum. The arms lose a lot of angular momentum because you have this motion here. So with this, the body slows down, but the club further accelerates. So that's why he's using the wrist really well here.
How do you increase that without throwing the club or getting out of sequence? I mean, if you're doing it early, so it's maximum here.
The maximum wrist cocking occurs on the way down slightly. So for example, his maximum occurs here, about here. Okay, when this crosses the axis, this is the beginning of uncocking here, in this position. When the club has momentum, the club wants to go that way, okay, and then slow down, but the club keeps going that way. It creates good amount of wrist cock, and on the way down, unless you throw it out, okay, as if you're pulling the club, as if you are drawing a sword from the sheath. Instead of trying to cut something at the beginning of downswing, when you try to just draw the sword, go up and then draw the sword here, then you will be able to delay uncocking. So with a good amount of wrist cocking and then maintain that leg here and then let it go.
That won't be the pull action though, I mean, that's what he does already. If you're pulling that sword.
Drawing the sword, but the point should be focusing on the club head motion. The goal here is move the club head here and then throw on this side here, instead of focusing on the wrist. Yeah. So if you throw the club head faster here, with that you have enough wrist cock here, and on the way down your goal is to move the club head and then let it go on this side, instead of just using the wrist. Okay. The wrist motion is not the main focus. The main focus is the club head motion. Essentially you're moving the club head to hit the ball here. So let it go and then come down and throw.
He tries to create too much power with body instead of his arms and hands.
Yeah, but if your body has a lot of momentum, then it's not giving the momentum to the club. That's the problem. Your body is rotating actively. That does not mean your club head is moving fast. You feel like you're putting a lot of effort, but it's just for the pleasure of your body. It's not really for the club head motion. So that's why on the way down, in the first half, you have to develop good body rotation. But in the second half, your body has to slow down and then let the club head go instead. So if he's investing for the future, then it's not for him. Saving a lot of money for you, so that you can become big, right? Yeah, so we always need to have a positive reproduction, let's say. So instead of if you enjoy your life and then wasting money and things like that, then your children will not be able to benefit from that, right? So again, in the downswing, in the first half, the goal is to develop faster body rotation. But in the second half, you have to let the club go. So that's why you need the wrist motion there. When you use the wrist actively, then the club gains momentum, the body loses momentum. So at impact, all matters is this here, not your body turning a lot. When you have exaggerated the follow-through motion, that means you're not really keeping up anything. So if you look at his angular momentum here, so this is peak value, and he's losing the body angular momentum quite a bit. The club gains a lot of angular momentum here. So if you compare the body angular momentum and the club angular momentum, it's almost like a 2-to-1 ratio here at impact. The club has a lot more momentum than the whole body at the instant of impact. But in your case, it's quite similar. So again, the main goal in golf swing is to develop good club head motion. It's not about exaggerated body motion. You have to promote the motion of the club head. So in your case, the impact, you see, your club has a bit more angular momentum than the body, but the difference is not much. That means you fail to keep a lot of momentum to the club. That's the whole idea. So in order to use the wrist more effectively, then you need to have more wrist cock to start with, and then maintain the leg, and then later try to throw here. So you should have the feel of really throwing something, so that you will shake off a gum or sticker stuck on the head. By shing here, you are letting them go, right? So that feel. So you have to use the wrist more actively. Any other questions?